Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Cheltenham Racecourse here on day 2 of the festival here on Wednesday. It is March the 14th, 2018. Gonna look at all the races on day 2 of the festival, but before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5 for more selections for race courses around the world, and I mean around the world. Day 2 of the festival, we're gonna see the ground going is heavy, so it's gonna be a very sloppy, demanding course today, so just keep that in mind. But other than that, the card looks very nice. You're going to make some money with this one for sure. So let's get on to it. We have 7 races to look at. Starting off with the first race, of course, the 130 from Cheltenham. The first race, it's Step Alley Novices Hurdle Grade 1 race. Going for Class 1 horses, going for a purse of $169,000. I use the American prize currency money, so just keep that in mind. I'm not using the British pound because it's just easier for me to use the American dollar. This race is for novice 4-year-olds and upwards. Field of 14 horses here going the distance of ground of 2 miles and 5/8 over the hurdle course. I'm going to give you 2 top picks for this race. Both of them are at nice odds that if I do a small each way wager on both of them and say one of them comes in, I'll make my money back with the loss of the other one for sure. But my 2 top picks for this race, I'm going to go 311. 311 for me in this one, and I do not like Sam Crow. I think he's all talk but no show in my personal eyes here, and I do think the ground is not going to be to his liking today, but 311 for me. Not top pick, but one of my picks, number 3, Black Op, 8-1. No feelies on this one for Tom George. It's a 7-year-old gelding by Sand Mason. He had to start here on Festival Preview Day, the 27th of January at Cheltenham. Heavy ground, so almost similar to what we're going to see today, but maybe a little bit more wet. 2 miles and a half, 4,000 meters in the Grade 2 Ballymore Classic Novices Hurdle. This horse had a very good second place finish by 3/4 of length at 8-1. He jumped well that day on a very demanding course. He had a good, decent run in. It wasn't a bad outing. I think with a little bit of a break here today, this horse should be rearing to go, and I do think this horse should run well. Start before the 9th of January at Doncaster. Soft ground, 2 miles 5/8 in a Class 5 maiden hurdle. This horse broke the maiden that day by 17 lengths, 33 cents to the dollar. He just jumped well and had a very nice, easy victory that day over the hurdles. And then the 1st of December at Newbury. Soft ground, 2 miles in a National Hunt maiden hurdle. This horse finished 4th by 7 lengths. Even that 4th place finish, it wasn't a bad race. He jumped well, lacked a little bit on the run-in, but it wasn't a bad run. He had a very good start about a few weeks ago here at Cheltenham, and I do think with the momentum, he should be on a big race today. At 8-1, I'll take my chances with him, along with the number 11 horse here, Next Destination. 3-1, Willie Mullins trains the 6-year-old gelding by Dubai Destination. This horse hasn't started since the 7th of January. That came in Ireland at Naz. 2 miles and a half, 4,000 meters in Grade 1 Lawlers of Naz Novice Hurdle. This horse won by length that day. Was the 53 cents to the dollar favorite and just ran like a 53 cents to the dollar favorite should run. Jumped well and just had a very nice, easy victory. Before that, 17th of December in Ireland at Navan. 2 miles and a half in the Grade 2 Navan Novice Hurdle. This horse won by 5.5 lengths that day. And again, a heavy favorite, jumped well, and destroyed the field. An all-around great race, and then first over the jumps at Naz in early November in a maiden hurdle. This horse won by 13 lengths. 166 pounds this horse is carrying that day, and it didn't affect this horse. Again, he jumped very easily. He ran at the festival last year in the Champion Bumper, a race I hate, and it is coming up later in the card. We'll get to that race, why I hate it. But, in the Champion Bumper last year, this horse finished 4th by 3 lengths. Just really couldn't quicken up with the rest of them in the run-in. Just wasn't his day to win. But over the hurdles, he's been very nice. He likes the wet going. I do think he could run a big one also, so watch out for him. So to recap my bets for the 130, the first race from Cheltenham here on day 2 of the festival here on Wednesday, gonna go with the number 3 horse Black Op, and I'm also gonna go with the number 11 horse here, Next Destination. 311 for me in the 130 from Cheltenham here on day 2 of the festival. So now let's get on to race number 2 from Cheltenham, the 210. It's the RSA Insurance Novices Chase Grade 1 race, going for a purse of $236,500. It's been 5-year-olds and upwards. Field of 10 horses here, going 3 miles over the chase course. My top pick in this race, I like the number 10 horse, Presenting Percy. He should really like the conditions. He's suited for this race a lot, and he should run well. I'm gonna do a forecast or exacta here. I'm gonna go 10-7. Say Presenting Percy doesn't show up, which I highly doubt. I do think Elegant Escape, the 7 horse, can maybe get a piece of it at the end, to the point of he might just get a very, very small each way wager from me. But, Presenting Percy looks very hard to beat. My top pick, 2-1. Davy Russell's on this one for Patrick Kelly, who trains his 7-year-old gelding by Sir Percy. This horse is coming in from Ireland. His most recent run came on the 17th of February at Gowran. Heavy ground, 2.5 miles in the Grade 2 Red Mills Chase. This horse finished second by length. The distance was a little bit shorter than he was running the last few starts. He jumped well. He just lacked a little extra kick at the end, but it wasn't a bad run. I do think with the extra half mile today, he should run a lot better. Start before Gowran on the 25th of January, 3 miles and a Grade 2 John Mulherin Galmoy hurdle. Source won by 5.5 lengths. He destroyed that field that day. A very nice race. He was the best horse by a mile and just won for fun. Very nice victory. And then the 3rd of December, Fairy House, soft ground, 3 miles, 5/8 in handicap chase. He won by 11 lengths, carrying 164 pounds in that race. Again, very easy victory, even with the high weight. He should like the going here today. He's bred to go on it. The distance is right. Everything points to this horse. Watch out for him to run a very good race, probably his best race of his lifetime. As I say that, watch out. So to recap my bets for the second from Cheltenham, the 210, it's the Grade 1 RSA Insurance Novices Chase. Gonna go with a 10-horse Presenting Percy. Gonna go 10-7 in the Forecast or the Exacta. So now let's get on to race number 3 from Cheltenham. The third race to 250. It is the Grade 3 Coral Cup Handicap Hurdle. Class 1 race going for a purse of $135,000. This race is for 4-year-olds and upwards. Field of 28 horses. The 27 and 28 are reserved, so only 26 can go. The distance of ground here of 2 miles and 5/8 over the hurdle course. My top pick in this race, and I'm going to give you 4 horses that I think could win, or excuse me, 3 horses that I think could win. Those 3 horses are going to be the number 7 horse Burbank, the number 10 horse Mount Muse, and the number 16 horse Le Bruyere. Hopefully I said that right. But 7, 10, 16 for me in the 250 from Cheltenham. But first horse I'll be talking about the number 7 horse Burbank. It's 15-1 here. Gets the leg up of Jeremiah McRoth on this one for Nicky Henderson. 6-year-old gelding by Yeats. This horse is coming off the start the 20th of January at Ascot. Soft ground, 2 miles 3/8 over the hurdles, and the Grade 3 Ascot Spring Garden Show Holloway Handicap Hurdle. His horse finished third that day by 4 1/4 lengths. He just, he jumped well at the end for most of the race. Just lacked a good closing kick at the end, but it wasn't a bad run. He's a horse that you really like the going today a lot. And, off a break, I do think he'd get a piece of it. The start before it in Class 3 Novice Chase at Ludlow, 2.5 miles on the 20th of December. His horse finished 6th by 32 lengths. He was a 73 cents to the dollar favorite that day, but he just didn't show up that day. He didn't have he had a horrible mistake a few from home and really couldn't recover after that. It just wasn't his day to win. Even before the mistake, he just wasn't really concentrated onto the race and wasn't really going well. But I do think his start afterwards was very nice, and I do think he's on the up and up today. Start before the Ludlow race came on the 29th of October at Aintree. Yielding ground, 2.5 miles in a Class 2 handicap hurdle. Horse finished 11th by 45 lengths. Again, he should have really ran well that day, but he hit the wall completely a few from home. It just wasn't his day to win. And then if you go back to last year's jumping season, he ran quite well at the end of it. He ran at Ayr on the 21st of April in the 2 miles and 9/16 Class 3 handicap hurdle. He finished second by 3 1/4 lengths. He was jumping well. He just missed. Wasn't a bad run. And then he ran here at the festival last year, 2 miles and 5/8 in the Neptune Investment Novices Hurdle. He finished 4th by 7 3/4 lengths. He was closing up well again. Wasn't a bad outing that day at 50-1. I do think with some hope today, the ground is to his liking. I do think he could get up there to a victory. So watch out for him. Another horse I like here is the number 10 horse, the number 10 Mount Muse. 15-1. Brian Hughes is on this one, the 7-year-old gelding by Presenting. Most recently, this horse had to start the 17th of February at Ascot. Soft ground, 3 miles in the Grade 3 Sodexo Reynoldstown Novices Chase. He finished third that day by 12 lengths behind Black Corton. He just had a slight mistake, a few from home, and really couldn't recover. That's why he finished a little out of it. But if you take out that mistake, he ran quite well before that. I do think here again with the heavy going, he should really do well. The distance is up this horse's alley. Also, a little cutback I think should really help. Start before the 26th of January at Doncaster. Soft ground, 3 miles in Class 4 novice chase. He finished second by a half length. He had high weight that day in a field of 4 horses. He kept going. Wasn't a bad outing that day. And then Doncaster, 2 miles to rates in a Class 4 novice chase. Horse won by 7 lengths. He destroyed the field that day. Very nice, easy victory. Like I said, I do think he's on the up and up, and at 15-1, I'll take my chances with him. Another horse I like here is going to be the number 16 horse. And hopefully I say this right, Le Brûlé. It's a French bred horse here. He's at 10-1. Aiden Coleman gets the leg up for Ben Pauling, who trains this one, 6-year-old Geldman. Most recently, his horse had to start the 9th of January, 9th of February, can't speak all of a sudden, the 9th of December at Aintree. Heavy ground, 2 miles and a half on a Class 2 handicap hurdle. This horse finished second by 6 lengths that day, and, he just lacked a good closing kick at the end. He jumped well, but, the run wasn't to his liking. The ground was very wet, but he normally does run well on very wet ground. It was just a weird race for him that day. Before that, this 13th of November at Kempton, 2 miles 5/8 in a Class 2 handicap hurdle. He finished 5th by 4 1/4 lengths that day, and didn't have the best of jumps a few from home. Really didn't quicken up with the rest of them. It just wasn't his day to win. And then at Aintree, this 8th of April last year, 2 miles and a half in the Mersey's novice hurdle. He didn't finish that day. He pulled up out of it. That makes me think his last 2 races at Aintree were absolute disaster runs. That makes me think he doesn't really like Aintree. But here at Cheltenham, he should run well. I do think he should like the toughness of this course. He should definitely like the going of the heavy ground, and I do think he shall run well. At 10-1, I'll take my chances with this one because he looks very nice in this spot. So to recap my bets for the third from Cheltenham, the 250. It is the Grade 3 Coral Cup Handicap Hurdle. Gonna go with the number 7 horse Burbank. Gonna go with the number 10 horse Mount Muse, and I'm gonna go with the number 16 horse Le Brel. Gonna go 7, 10, 16, and the third, or the 250 from Cheltenham. So now let's get on to race number 4 from Cheltenham. The fourth race, the 3:30. It's the featured on the Wednesday program from Cheltenham. It's the Grade 1 Queen Mother Champion Chase. It's a Class 1 race for Grade 1 horses, going for a purse of $540,000. It's for 5-year-olds and upwards. Fields of 9 horses going the distance of ground of 3,200 meters or 2 miles over the chase course. And this morning, it is early Tuesday morning right now here in America, probably about 5 o'clock in the morning in the UK right now. But or late Monday evening, there was a story about Altior, having a bit of a foot issue. So he wasn't really, he was on the fence of not running today. So they're gonna look it over, and it doesn't look good for him to be running in this race. So probably we're going to take Altior out, and he's going to scratch a withdrawn for this race. So we're going to be down to a field of 8, but it's a bit of a tricky race here. Dovan is going to become the favorite if Altior withdraws, and I do think he's going to be a very, very vulnerable favorite, especially off a year layoff. I don't think he's going to run well, and I'm not going to pick him here, but I'm going to go to the other Willie Mullins trained horse here, to the 6 horse Min as a selection. And I'm also going to give you a bit of a long shot play of the 8 horse Poti Logi. Like I said, pardon me if I mispronounce any horse's name wrong during this video. Sorry, I can't speak English. I can't speak French either. As you could tell by the other race with that French bred board. But this horse is a French bred, by the way, also. I can't speak French also. But, pardon me if I mispronounce a horse's name. But my 2 picks for this race, I'm going to go with the 6 horse Min and the 8 horse Poltilagi. I know I'm saying it wrong, just pardon that. Here in America, the number matters more than the name. But one of my picks here, the number 6 horse Min, another French bred here, 7-2. Paul Townend gets the leg up for Willie Mullins. Just quick note: Ruby Walsh, I believe, had the choice between Duvan and Min. He chose Duvan, and like I said, I do think Duvan's a very beatable favorite in this race, and I do think Min is the better out of the 2 in this race. So Paul Townend gets the leg up. He hasn't started since the 3rd of February, at Leopardstown. Soft ground, 2 miles and 1/8, and the Grade 2 Dublin Chase. He won by 12 lengths that day. He was the favorite, and he just jumped easily. A very nice, easy race for this horse that day. Before that, in the Paddy Rewards Club Chase, Grade 1 race at Leopardstown, 2 miles and 1/8 in the Christmas Festival, he won by a half length that day, but he was disqualified. But actually, he finished second that day. Let me repeat myself. He finished second that day. Let me repeat myself again. Can't speak. Pardon me. It is midnight here in America, so just give me a little bit of a break. He won that day, but he was demoted or placed down to second because he did cause some interference. And if you watch the replay, it was a great call by the stewards that they're the judges, because he did basically get in the way of Simply Ned, who went on to win that day. I think the steward should have went over to California right after that to run this weekend at Santa Anita with the Baldioro and Mackenzie. Don't think that horse should have been disqualified. But off subject, back to this, back to the Christmas race for this horse. He other than that slight interference, a few, in the run-in, he ran quite well. But it wasn't a bad race. And then before that, Gowron over the chases and just basic chase, he won by 36 lengths, and he won very nicely. He was best horse by miles, a paid workout, all around great race. He's a nice horse here. He hasn't run at the festival since 2016, where he finished second in the Supreme Novices Hurdle behind Altior, who's most likely going to be withdrawn in this race. And Bavardere, who's running in the hurdle in the race on Tuesday, who finished third in that Supreme Novices Hurdle in 2016. What a great race, by the way. But in that race, he finished second. He just couldn't catch Altior, who ran a massive run. But since then, this horse has been, a little bit of breaks in between starts, but I do think he's going to be very fresh here today, and I do think he should run a major race at 7-2. Watch out for him. No, he's not the best of prices, but it's better than what you're going to get on Duvan. Another horse I really like in this race is the 8 horse, a horse I cannot pronounce his name to save my life. 12-1 here. Sand Twist and Davies is on this one for Paul Nichols. 7-0 gelding. This horse is coming off a start to 10th of February at Newbury. 2 miles in the Grade 2 Betfair Exchange Chase. He finished second by 4 lengths behind Altior, who came back from a layoff to win that day very nicely, I must say. Great comeback. But this horse just really couldn't get to him that day. The ground was very sloppy, and it just wasn't his day to win. Before that, in the Desert Orchid Chase at Kempton, he won by 13 lengths that day on Boxing Day, or day after Boxing Day. Again, he jumped well. It's the best horse by a mile, improved it. And then the Tingle Creek at Sandown, he won by half length, upsetting a little bit at 7-2. He just had a great run. He ran at the festival last year in the JLT Novices Chase. He finished fourth by 10 lengths behind York Hill. This horse just really couldn't keep up with them that day. The ground was very drier than it normally is during last year's festival, and I don't think he really got into it. He's a horse that really likes wet going. He's going to get it today, and at 12-1, he's a horse you must have. I mean it, you must have, and watch out for him at the end. So to recap my bets for the 4th from Cheltenham, the 3:30, it's the Grade 1 Queen Mother Chase. Gonna go with the 6 horse Min, and as my price play, long shot play, I'm gonna use the 8 horse. So 6-8 for me here in the Queen Mother. So now let's get on to race number 5, which the 5th race to 410. I think it's the most aesthetically pleasing race of the whole Cheltenham Festival meet. In my eyes, it's a great race for the eyes because it's the cross country. The 5th race, the 410 from Cheltenham. It is the Glenfarclas Chase. It's a cross country chase here for Class 2 horses, going for a purse of $88,000, which for it's for 5-year-olds and upwards. Field of 16 horses here, going 3 miles and 3/4 on the cross-country chase course. I always like watching this race. This is one of my races. This is one of the races that's, it's just a fun race all around. It's a bit of a tough race to get your head around. Not as tough as some of the races in the day, but it's still tough. I'm going to give you 2 horses that I think can win. It's going to be the 5 horse Cause of Causes, who likes this course, and the number 11 horse Last Samurai. So 5-11 for me. One horse here, one of the horses I like, the 5 horse Cause of Causes, 5-2. JJ Codd gets the leg for Gordon Elliott, who trains his 10-year-old gelding by Dynaformer, a nice horse who ran here in the States. This horse has some great North American pedigree. If you're just looking at the pedigree, if you're a pedigree geek, shall I say. But he's done well over the chases. His most recent outing came at Leopardstown during their big festival, their inaugural festival on the 4th of February. 2 miles 5/8 in a handicap chase. He finished 15th by 50 lengths. I do think the horses were a little bit better than him that day, and he just really couldn't keep up with them. It just wasn't his day to win. Before that at Aintree in the Grand National last year, 4 miles and a quarter, he finished second by 4.5 lengths behind one for Arthur, who just ran a hell of a race. But this horse was coming at the end. He had a very respectable second place finish that day. And then last year in this race, the cross country, he won by 9 lengths. He just destroyed it. A very nice, easy victory. But I want to go back to the cross-country chase, the trial for this race back in January of 2017. He had a disaster race. He finished 5th by 43 lengths that day and just was never there. That was a very, weird run because he never showed up. But after that, he ran well in this race last year. But, maybe they were just saving the horse for the big festival because, he ran shit before this race this year also, but hopefully that's a sign of him running great today like he did last year. But I know 5-2 is not the best price in this race, but if he wins, you're gonna have to take it and just applaud him. Watch out for him here today. Another horse I like is gonna be the 11 horse, The Last Samurai, 10-year-old gelding by Flemsfirth, 6-1 here. Gets the leg up of David Bass on this one for Kim Bailey. Most recently, this horse had to start on the 27th of January. That came at Cheltenham course on heavy ground, 3 miles and 1/8 in the Grade 2 Bet-Bright Trial Cotswold Chase. He finished 4th by 11 lengths that day. Just never really got into the run. It just wasn't his day to win. Before that, in the Beecher Handicap Chase in early December at Aintree, he finished second by 9 lengths behind Black Lion. Again, he jumped well on the Grand National course. He missed at the end, but he did have high weight. Today's only carrying 158 pounds, and this race course is not as demanding as Cheltenham, as Aintree's Grand National course, and I do think he should run a lot better today. And then his start before it came at Kempton Handicap Hurdle in early November. He finished second by 1/4 lengths at 33-1 against better horses. He had a good race, but I do think he's a lot better against these quality horses, the cross countryers or the long stayer marathon jumpers. He ran last year's Grand National. He finished 16th, and he just really weakened out of it after the canal turn. After that, he just really never got into it. But on this course, I do think he should run well. 6-1, I do like the price on him, so watch out. So to recap my bets for the 5th from Cheltenham, the 4:10, it's the Glen Farclas Chase, the cross-country chase. Going to go with the 5 horse, Cause of Causes, and I'm also going to go with the number 11 horse, The Last Samurai. So now let's get on to race number 6. And pardon me, I've been talking for 22 minutes straight, and I don't want to do edits, so let me just take a sip of iced coffee. I'm back. Oh, it's good, strong coffee. But sponsored by, you can't do sponsors on YouTube. You get it's against the copyright. But, sponsored by some fake coffee brands or whatever. Not Starbucks, because I'm not a big fan of Starbucks coffee or, regular coffee, because it's a little bit too... not so bitter for me. I like bitter coffee. But back to the horse racing thing now, to the 6th race from Cheltenham, the 450. And this is the most... one of the most difficult races to get your head around on today's program. Usually the champion bumper on Wednesday is the race I always have trouble with, but this race was actually a lot harder than finding a horse for the champion bumper. This 6th race at the 450, it's the Grade 3 Boodles Fred Winter Juvenile Handicap Hurdle. It's a Class 1 race for Grade 3 horses, going for a purse of $108,000. It's for juvenile 4-year-olds here. Fields of 24 horses, but the 23 and 24 are reserves are also eligible. So they only come in if a horse withdraws or scratches from the main body of the group of the field. So 22 will go the distance of ground here of 2 miles or 3,200 meters over the hurdle course. I'm going to give you 4 horses in this race that I think could win. Like I said, I'm going to do small each-way wagers on all 4 of the horses. So the 4 horses are the 8 horse, Look My Way. the number 10 horse Lisp, and the number 16 horse Oxford Blue, and the number 20 horse Mastermind. So 8, 10, 16, 20 are the four horses I really like in this race. Like I said, it's a very wide open race. This is going to be this is kind of the race I wouldn't be surprised if a 30 to 1 shot comes in. But First horse I'll be talking about is number 8 horse, Look My Way. He's at 12 to 1. He's getting Brian Hughes up for John Quinn, who trains his 4-year-old gelding by Poor Moy. He's coming off a race on the 27th of January here at Cheltenham. 2 miles and 8th in the Grade 2 JCB Triumph Trial Juvenile Hurdle, the trial for this race. He finished second by 8 lengths that day. And on that wet ground, he did jump well. He lacked a little on the run-in, but it wasn't a bad outing over this race course. Before that, the 3rd of January at Ludlow, 2 miles in a juvenile hurdle class 4 event, he won by 8 lengths, 17 cents to the dollar. He was the horse to beat that day, and nobody beat him. He just jumped well and had a very nice, easy victory. And then in juvenile class 2 hurdle at Newcastle, 2 miles on the 2nd of December, he finished second by 2 lengths. It was the horse's first start over the jumps, but he jumped well that day. Decent second place finish. I want to go back to some of his races. He was staying over the flat over the summer and into the early fall. His last flat run came on heavy ground at Floss Last, 2 miles on a Class 3 handicap. He won by 22 lengths that day to be exact, and he was just much the best that day. Easy victory, and his races over wet ground have been so much better. Even going back to his flat form, his wet ground races are 100 times better. He should like the going. He should like the staying. He has a good weight of 160 pounds. And I do think he could get a piece of it at the end. To watch out for him here today. Another horse I like here is number 10 horse Lisp, or shall I say Lisp, as I spit everywhere. 12 to 1 here. Wayne Hutchinson's on this Alan King trains, 4-year-old gelding by Poet's Voice. He's coming off a start on the 17th of February at Haydock. Heavy ground, because it seems like it's always heavy at Haydock for some reason. Every time I look at Haydock, it's always heavy, which is quite annoying. I do like dry ground, firm ground, but that's what happens when you live in a country with or look at a country that it always rains but at Haydock, a little off subject, but at Haydock that day, the Class 2 hurdle, he finished third by 2.5 lengths. Was the favorite. He just lacked a little bit at the end, but he jumped well that day. It wasn't a bad run. Before then, Class 4 novice chase at Fontwell, 2 miles and a quarter, January 21st. That day was very wet. He won by 7 lengths. He just jumped well. Just going back to that Fontwell race, that's going to be very similar to the ground that you're going to see today. It was very, very sloppy. Just look at, if you watch that replay for that race, just look at the finish line. The ground almost looked like a soup, really. Somewhat waterlogged a little bit, but he loved it that day. He destroyed the race. And then at Plumpton in December the 18th, 2 miles in Class 4 novice hurdle, he won by 2.5 lengths that day. And again, he just jumped well. He's a horse that's going to like the sloopy, sloppy, waterlogged course, and I do think he should run well. 12 to 1. Watch out for him. I also like the number 16 horse here, the number 16 Oxford Blue. 15 to 1. Richard Johnson is on this Ollie Murphy trained 4-year-old gelding by Claim, whatever. Sorry, I can't speak English. I think I went over that about 20 minutes ago. But this horse is coming off the start the 18th of February at Market Racing, soft ground, 2 miles and 1/8 in a Class 3 handicap hurdle. He finished second by a neck that day. He just missed at the end, but he jumped well. Wasn't a bad running. Before that, Weatherby on very wet ground, the 23rd of January, 2 miles in Class 4 handicap hurdle. He finished third by 1 3/4 lengths. Bit of a high weight. He jumped well, just missed at the end, but it wasn't a bad outing. And then at Fontwell on Boxing Day, 2 miles and a quarter in Class 4 juvenile hurdle, he finished fourth by 6 lengths, and he just really couldn't get into it that day. As the favorite, it was probably one of his worst races in his life. He just never was really there. But before that, he won a Fakenham over the hurdles very easily, and he won a very nice staying race over the summer at Chepstow by a bunch. Very nice, easy victory there. But he's run well. Other than that mistake at Fontwell, he should like the going. I do think he should run well. 15 to 1. Watch out for this one. I feel like I'm repeating myself. Pardon me. But another horse I like here is the number 20 horse, Mastermind. 20 to 1 here. Robbie Power gets leg up for Charles O'Brien, who trains his 4-year-old gelding by Nathaniel. He's coming off a race on the 24th of February at Ferryhouse in Ireland. Soft ground, 2 miles in the Grade 3 winning fair juvenile hurdle. He finished second by 2 1/4 lengths, and at 5.5 to 1 that day. He jumped well. He lacked a little bit on the run-in, but other than that, he ran a nice race. I think with heavy ground, which this horse again should really like, he should run a major race. Before that, Naz on the 10th of February, 2 miles in a novice hurdle, he won by 3 lengths. He had the high weight that day. He destroyed the field of 5 horses. A very nice, easy race again for this run. And then the hurdle at Ferryhouse, soft ground, 2 miles, January the 14th. He finished third by 13 lengths. He just didn't have the best runs that day. It was a quick turnaround from his race before, and he just really couldn't get into it. He ran in the Knight Frank Juvenile Hurdle on Boxing Day at Leopardstown in Ireland. He finished sixth by 12 lengths that day behind Espoir d'Elaine. He just really he didn't quicken up at all that day. He just needed that extra kick, which he just lacked a little. But I do think here, low weight, soft ground, which you'll like, I do think he could get a piece of it. For some reason, just looking at Robbie Power this week, on the first 2 days he's a little light in horses, to get him a victory. And I do think on the first 2 days this is probably going to be his best chance to win. 20 to 1, I'll take my chances with him and this very wide open race. So watch out. So to recap my bets for the 6th from Cheltenham, the 450, it's the Grade 3 Boodles Fred Winter Juvenile Handicap Hurdle. Gonna go with the number 8 horse, Look My Way. Gonna go with the number 10 horse here, Lisp. I'm gonna go with the number 16 horse here, Oxford Blue, and I'm gonna go with the number 20 horse, Mastermind. So those numbers were 8, 10, 16, 20. So now let's get on to race number 7 from Cheltenham. The 7th race to 5:30. It's the nightcap here on the second day of the festival, and it's probably one of my least. It's probably the race I hate the most anywhere in the world. It's this race, the Balmoral Handicap on Champions Day at Ascot in October. The Lincoln Miles up there with a race I hate. A lot of the races I hate come from Europe for some reason. Very few races I hate here in America. Well, one of them I do hate here in America is the British Cup Turf Sprint. Can't pick a winner in that race to save my life. Another race is the another race here in America, which I absolutely hate, is the Pennsylvania Derby, but that's for different reasons. Not because I can pick a winner. That's because I don't think there should be a 3-year-old restricted race after the Travers after August. But other than that, this is the race I hate the most because it's just so hard to pick a winner here. You have horses that will win at 100 to 1, and you just look at the form 10 days afterwards still, and you figure out how the hell did they win. It's very tricky race. But doing some research on this race, it was very funny to see that some flat riders have won this race. Jamie Spencer, I believe, won this race in 2002 or 3, something like that, which is very cool. I know Jamie Spencer doesn't get the credit that he deserves because a lot of people don't like him as a rider. I think he's quite a good rider, but for some reason when he comes over to America, especially to Arlington and Chicago, he doesn't ride that well because he always gets disqualified, it seems. But and it's always with the horse I back. But I'm getting very off subject. Let me get back to the champion bumper, which is race number 7, the 5:30. It's the Grade 1 champion bumper. It's a standard open National Hunt flat race. Going for Class 1 horses, going for a purse of $101,500. It's for 4, 5, and 6-year-olds only, which have not run under any recognized rules of racing except the National Hunt Flat Races, the Irish National Hunt Flat Races, or the French National Hunt Flat Races, whatever they call them there. We have a field of 24 horses here going the 3,200-meter trip, or 2 miles, over the National Hunt Flat course, which is the hurdle course without the hurdles. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to give you 3 horses that I think can win. Those 3 horses are going to be the 1 horse Black Bow, the number 11 horse here Nestor Park, who's my long shot of the day, and the number 20 horse here, or excuse me, the number 21 horse, the number 21 AC Milan. So 1, 11, 21 for me here in the champion bumper, a race I absolutely hate that I mentioned that already. But one of my horses here, number 1 Black Bow, gets Patrick Mullins up for Willie Mullins, his old man. 5-year-old gelding by Stowaway. He's been running in flat in the bumpers in Ireland. Most recent one during the big festival at Leopardstown early February, going 2 miles in the Jeff's Future Stars flat. He won by 1.5 lengths. He ran well quickened up nicely, and he just stayed going easily with high weight. Today he's carrying 5 less pounds of 159 pounds, and I do think with a weight break he can run well. Before that, Leopard sat in a bumper on Boxing Day. He won by 3 1/4 lengths again. High weight didn't affect his horse that day. He just stayed going that day. He's run 3 times. Before that, an Irish point to point, or excuse me, an English point to point. He won by 1.5 lengths, and he just led easily that day, according to the running line. Couldn't find a replay for that race, but he's 3 for 3 over the bumpers, and I do think he can run well. 4-1. I know it's not the best price in this race, but if he wins, you're gonna have to take it. Another horse that I think can win at nice odds is the number 11 horse, Nestor Park, a French bred here, getting the leg up of Daryl Jacob for Ben Pauling, who trains his 5-year-old gelding by Walk in the Park. His most recent race came in on bumper at Newbury, 2 miles on the 10th of February. He finished 5th by 14 lengths that day, and he just lacked a good kick at the end. But other than that, he ran well. He ran well for the first mile and 7/8, let's say. Before that, the 25th of November, my birthday at Ascot, yielding ground 2 miles on a Class 4 bumper. He won by neck that day. With those lower quality horses, he just quickened up nicely and had a very nice victory that day, getting up there. And then first career outing on Halloween at Bangor on D, 2 miles and 1/8 in a Class 6 bumper. He finished second by 1 1/4 lengths as just over the even money favorite. Again, he just lacked a little bit at the end, but it wasn't a bad run. I do think at 30-1 with wet ground, he should definitely stay, and I watch out for him here today. Another horse I think can win is the number 21 horse, number 21 AC Milan, 8-1. Aiden Coleman is on this Anthony Honeyball trained 4-year-old gelding by Milan. Most recently, this horse had to start in Newbury the 10th of February. Soft ground, 2 miles in the Class 1 National Hunt bumper that day. He won the bumper by a length that day, and he just quickened up nicely, had a great turn of foot, and it was an all-around great race. Before that, Cheltenham on New Year's Day, mile 3/4 unlisted national bumper. He won by 3 3/4 lengths. That was very demanding ground, and he just jumped very easily that day. And then before that, when Canton, mile 7/8 and a National Hunt flat bumper, he won by 9 lengths. Very easy race. He's a winner of his last 3. He's only lost once at Exeter in October, but that was his first race. I think at 8-1 he can run he can run a big one here today also. So watch out for him. So to recap my bets for race number 7, and like I said many times, a race I absolutely hate. It's the Grade 1 Champion bumper. Gonna go with the number 1 horse Blackbow. Gonna go with the number 11 horse Nestor Park, my long shot of the day, and the number 21 horse AC Milan. 1-11-21 here in the Champion bumper. So good luck to all. Remember to join me tomorrow for more Cheltenham previews here on YouTube. Also join me next Saturday for the opening of the flats season from Doncaster. We have it's Lincoln Day, another race I absolutely hate. So we'll be looking at that here on YouTube, so you can hear me bitch about that. And a week after, a race I really like, or a race meeting I really like, and that's from Meydan in Dubai, the Dubai World Cup meeting from Meydan. It's an excellent day of racing on the 31st. So join me here on YouTube for that preview. And good luck to all, and please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5. Good luck.